I'm going to start off the questions myself. One of the questions we're trying to figure out at this hearing is how can a company like AEY get such an important contract for $300 million to provide ammunition to the Afghan security forces? Mr. Howell, in your written statement for today, you explain AEY got the contract because of AEY's strong record of past performance. Here's what you said, quote, AEY had a history of satisfactory performance on similar contracts, showed increased revenue growth, adequate capitalization, and was considered a low risk, end quote. Do you stand by that statement?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, we did what the Army apparently never did. We looked back at past contracts to see what AEY's past performance under other contracts was really like. One contract that AEY got was a contract with a multinational security transition command in Iraq to deliver protective helmets. A U.S. official who examined AEY's shipments wrote, the helmets came to Abu Ghraib by mistake. They were not very good. They have peeling paint and a few appear to have been damaged, such as having been dropped. When I first saw them, I put them in the reject category. The same inspector also wrote this to Mr. Diveroli, the head of AEY. Some people got a little wound up when they saw the daily receiving report. They remembered the 10,000 helmets you sold them earlier this year and the junk AKs we still have in the warehouse. Several scenarios were being planned for you, none of them pleasant. Another official wrote, quote, bottom line, the helmets are damaged goods and we don't want them. General Phillips, does this sound like satisfactory performance to you?
Sir, I'm going to let Mr. Parsons address that question, but before I do that, I'd just like to state that when the KO goes in, the contracting officer goes in to make an award on a contract, they do a thorough review of past performance, and they ask DCMA to assist in that process. So,
well, if you did a thorough performance and someone came back with this kind of report of performance under a previous contract, would you think that that sounded like satisfactory performance? Mr. Parsons, maybe you can answer this question.
No, I would not, sir. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we have found that due to the dollar value of many of those contracts not being within the reporting threshold, a lot of that information did not get reported. Again, reason why we're initiating a policy change in the Army to ensure that regardless of dollar value, that type of information is sent forward. I will say that...
Let me just, because I wanted to answer this question, I have limited time. Under another Defense Department contract, AEY failed to deliver 10,000 Beretta pistols under a contract for $5.6 million. The contracting official who terminated that contract said this about Mr. Diveroli, I just don't trust this guy. I couldn't take anything he said credibly. The contracting official added, all his reasons continued to build and build, and then it just got to the point where it was the straw on the camel's back, and I said, look, no amount of consideration is going to take care of the fact that you have been unable to deliver. You have not had one delivery order come in. Now, hearing that, Mr. Howell, would you think that indicated sound past performance?
I would not, if I heard those things, say it was past performance. But I would also question if those contracting officers, in fact, provided written input to the excluded parties list or other reference areas that we could use, in fact, to weigh our evaluation for adequate performance for a contractor.
Well, under another contract, AEY, this one with the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, AEY was supposed to provide the same type of ammunition that it later delivered to Afghanistan. The contracting officer who terminated that contract said that AEY, quote, failed to deliver acceptable goods, end quote. Quote, provided no notice of an excusable delay, end quote, and, quote, provided inadequate assurance of future performance. Now, does that sound like satisfactory performance, Mr. Howell?
Absolutely not.
The committee also looked at AEY's performance under contracts with other agencies. Under a contract with the State Department to provide tactical equipment for use in Iraq, including optical sights and weapons adapters, AEY repeatedly ignored a contracting officer's warnings. In fact, AEY delivered only one item by the delivery date, and it was rejected as a non-conforming substitute. When the contracting officer withdrew the order, this is what he wrote to AEY. You are hereby notified that your failure to deliver the listed items has endangered the performance of the Department of State mission. Further, in subsequent correspondence, your promises of delivery have not been met. You are hereby informed that the undelivered items are being withdrawn from subject order. The DOS mission can no longer be delayed due to your inability to produce the items as stated in subject order. Mr. Parsons, does that sound like satisfactory performance?
No, it does not, sir.
The award of this contract to AEY, despite these numerous examples of contracts terminated for poor performance, reveals a fundamental flaw. The system for vetting contractors appears to be broken. It's hard to imagine a less qualified contractor than AEY, and yet this company was rated excellent by the Defense Department, and it was awarded a contract worth $300 million. That is quite amazing to me. I'm going to reserve the balance of my time.